kind of all around.
Yeah, well,
Also Utah County.
There's someone, her name is Diane.
Carter.
Yes.
She moved to Cedar City, and she got they advertised a job for in the music department at SUU for a pianist. So she's down there playing for instrumentalists and singers and
Really?
choirs, and yeah. So she still has a home in Provo, but is living in an apartment, and she rents it out or does something.
What about the husband?
He passed away, and so
I think
she.
he was a lot older.
He was a bit older, yeah, but he had Parkinson's and dementia. I mean, it was a slow, awful decline, and she took care of him. It was.
She was in high school. When I first went to Long Beach, she was one of my students as an undergraduate.
No way. Hopefully, she's going to join us on the live stream because she can't come up from Cedar City just for this meeting. Wouldn't that be fun to connect with her?
well, I sent everybody like a link. No, a link to. You have to
Yes.
subscribe.
Right. And I just did subscribe because I'm thinking maybe I have to set this up, and I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how are you doing, Jane?
Great. I had COVID over Christmas,
Oh no.
and my son Andrew was here for a week, and 6 of the 7 days I had to isolate.
Was it horrible?
It wasn't bad. The first 3 days were horrible, and then they put me on that Paxlovid, the antiviral medication. I took it. You take it for 5 days, twice a day. I took the first dose at night, and the next day, I felt normal, but I was still positive. You know, I was still testing positive. But I was from the time my symptoms started to the time that I tested negative was 1 week.
What were the symptoms?
Horrible headache, body aches. Oh, my shoulders and neck, upper back were just awful. And what else was it? I didn't ever get a cough. I had no respiratory problems. I didn't get the loss of taste. I didn't have any stomach problems. It was just mostly the headache and the body aches. No
Really?
fever.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
Then
Yeah.
how did you know to test yourself?
I just felt like it felt like it was not a flu. You know how I know what a flu tastes or feels like.
I just realized we're live.
Oh, okay.
So we should.
All right, we should go. Great. Welcome on this snowy January. Thank you for coming if you're joining us. Otherwise, you're going to watch us later. We are so happy today to have with us Barbara Allen, who is an opera coach at BYU, has been doing it for a lot of years. We're going to chat. We have Heidi Rodeback with us and Juliet Preston. I'm Jane Galloway, president of CPGU. If you're thinking about joining, please contact us and we will get you set up. We have some technical issues that we got to figure out how to work out, but that will be forthcoming. I mean, we've been doing this 5 years. We should have this well in hand. Anyway, welcome to Barbara. Are you open for questions?
Well, of course.
Of course.
I mean, I didn't prepare a lecture or anything.
Yeah, we'll just have a nice discussion.
Could you share with us your biography a little more? Where some of us know you really well and some of us don't. I'm one in the don't category.
Oh, well, I grew up here and went to BYU and the University of Utah, and then I got my doctorate at the University of Illinois, where my teacher was Sulima Stravinsky, who was the son of Igor Stravinsky.
That's fantastic.
And then most of my professional career was in California, where I taught at Long Beach State for many, many years. Just piano, professor piano.
Mhm.
So it wasn't, and that my DMA is in solo piano.
Oh.
It's not in collaborative or anything.
Mhm.
But you know, when you're a pianist, you always play for a lot of people. Just because you have friends who want you to.
Mhm.
This is so early. I said to Jane, musicians don't get up at this time.
Some of us are teaching even before school starts.
Yeah. So you teach
Yes.
privately, both of you.
Yes, but it's early for me too.
Oh. And then let's see, yes, I taught there for 25 years. And then I got into, and I had always loved singing. And I started doing a lot of singing when I'm living in California. And so I did a lot of solo singing at the big Congregational Church in downtown Long Beach, if you've ever been there. It's a huge, big church. And so I was a soloist there for years. And started working more and more with singers at the university. And then I started teaching the song repertoire classes and the diction classes. So I started, with Italian and German and French. And I started teaching those. And so by the time I left there, I was doing quite a bit with singers, which I loved. And then I kind of took an early retirement and came back here. And then I was the music director of what was it called? The Utah Lyric Opera.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's when I met you. Wasn't it? It must have been.
I think I knew John before that.
Well, he was just 12.
Oh, well, that might have been the first.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I did that. And then I went, BYU asked me to take a year as a visiting professor of piano. So I did that. And then we worked out this little job, Larry Vincent. You know Larry Vincent?
I don't.
He was the opera director
Oh.
until the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked out this little deal where I worked with the singers and the opera. And so that's what I do.
So you currently are doing that.
Yes.
So no more retirement for you.
Oh, why would I want to retire? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I was telling Jane, I'm crazy about singers. I love working with singers. I love getting to know singers. And they are just the funnest people. They're not always the best musicians in the world, but they're fun. They're lots of fun. And these kids up at this school are the most wonderful people. They're just, don't you think?
They're good people. They have good hearts.
Wonderful people. They're so inspiring to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're so they're so appreciative.
Most of the time.
Oh, well, you may have other experiences, but you don't work only with singers. She plays for all these random people like trombone.
Yeah.
You play stuff that I can't imagine. All this contemporary stuff.
If I have to. Yeah.
That is hard.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Samantha Adair. You changed your hair. Yes. Yeah. Samantha is a master's student in organ at BYU,
Oh,
but has a piano degree, an undergraduate. No, it was organ. Oh yeah, she just accompanies.
there's not enough people.
Full-time career.
There are not enough people that play the organ these days.
Look who
it is! Oh,
I'm so sorry,
I didn't even expect you to be here, Diane.
Yeah,
I know. Okay.
I was just asking about you.
you were in my piano
piano teacher when I was
When
young.
you were 19 or
19.
something.
Yes,
What
it's a
a reunion.
reunion.
How are you? Good to see you.
They said you moved to Searcy.
Yeah,
What are you doing in town?
well, it's a long break.
Oh, they have a long break.
Long break.
They
Well,
don't-
I start on the 8th, but I'm gonna go on Monday after the snow.
Oh, good.
Well,
It's so nice to see you.
And girls.
Oh,
And you
I was
too.
thinking about you before. I thought, I wonder if she belongs to this girl.
Yeah.
She's one of our founding
And
members.
then Gerta Weimer is also supposed to be coming. I don't know where she is.
I
But
love her.
I work
She-
with her at UVU. We both teach piano there.
Well, she was my student. And when I did that year
Visiting professor.
at
Mhm.
visiting first, she was one of my students then.
Yeah, yeah.
At
She's
BYU?
Uh-huh.
she went on to Eastman to do her doctorate
Yes.
in collab, and then came back. And I met her actually before she went. She was up at Weaver, and then now she's at UVU, and we
Uh-huh.
both teach piano. We're playing in a 2-piano recital
Oh,
next month.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's
She's
very
good.
exciting. We'll have to make sure and send an invite.
Yeah, I saw her. We reconnected not very long ago. And well, she's become acquainted with my son. My son
Who's your
is at the University of Utah getting his DMA, getting his doctorate. And
John Allen.
In what?
in voice.
voice?
John Allen? I don't
I
know.
mean, he
him.
still plays.
Wow, yeah, because cello, right?
No,
violin.
violin.
Okay.
But
Wow.
but the degrees in singing. Well, listen, singing is the easiest thing of all.
I don't know.
I disagree.
I don't believe that at all.
Oh, it is. You don't even have to find the notes. Think about it. Well, I mean, I know because I've done both. This is the hardest. This is the hardest.
Okay.
This is the hardest thing. This is impossible.
Mhm.
And you just open your mouth. If you can sing, then it's the easiest thing. You just
I still have your books from the accompanying class, Cal State Long Beach. You know, the 2 thick books. Like 50 select, I don't know,
We gotta get
Big
some
books.
pictures.
Mhm.
50 selected.
Anyway, that's how I became reacquainted with Gerta,
Mhm.
who is, I went to her wedding.
Mm.
She's great. She's a bright girl.
Mhm.
She's a very bright girl. Okay, so that's all there is. Yeah.
Oh,
But I have this lovely son who we collaborate a lot. We just did one of his doctoral recitals up at the U recently. And he'll be almost done. So I just took down a few little notes to see if anything that you want to talk about. But I probably won't tell you anything you don't know already.
I don't know.
Just some of the things that you must consider, and I'm sure you do consider. For example, are you an accompanist or are you a partner in this piece or this piece or this piece? Okay, if you're playing you're an accompanist. It's an operatic aria. You're an accompanist in this one. But if you're playing an art song by Schubert, you're not an accompanist. Don't let them call you an accompanist. You are a pianist. You're the collaborator. I don't even like that word too much. You're the partner, musical partner.
Musical partner. Okay.
It's a duet.
Mhm.
And we've got, fortunately, this huge repertoire of art song that I am crazy about. But you know what I mean. So you sometimes have to tell your singers that you're not the accompanist.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Do you play for singers a lot?
Yeah.
Is it the most singers?
It's about half and half.
For you,
Instrumental.
it would
For me.
be-
Mhm.
For you, it would be all sorts of people.
Mhm. Half and half.
But anyway, And so do you play mostly for singers?
Well, down at SUU, they gave me 20 instrumentalists and 9 vocalists.
Oh. So they just give you this badge.
Yeah, they assigned me to all these people and a concert choir. Super fun.
Oh, you're busy.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Huh. In fact, this son of mine, he went there for a couple of years.
Oh, did he?
I think when he was a freshman, he went there. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
Cool.
So that's one thing. You should just never think of yourself as
So I hope that the teachers coach their vocal students about how to interact with the pianist, but I wonder if that never gets bridged. Because if they're teaching at a university level, they've worked with enough pianists, they know this, they probably switch into, well, I would hope, right? But how could you, any tips for just approaching the student in a rehearsal and saying, with this Schubert art song, I hope you realize he wrote this for the piano to be an equal partner.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. The teacher, I doubt that the teacher would say that.
Mm. That's strange.
I
Too
doubt
bad.
it.
That's should be changed.
I've had woodwind professors bring that up, like, this is a duet, not.
I like them. Yeah, that's great. It's a duet, not you're important and they're unimportant. Well, I find that when I go play for the singers, they're required to have a pianist at their lesson every week. And so we're learning their pieces together every week. But I find that I don't want to speak up during the lesson and just let the teacher be the guide.
Mhm.
And I never get a chance
To be a coach.
well, to be a coach or to have a one-on-one with the singer and have that conversation with the singer without the teacher being there. And I don't want to be the person, the pianist to go, well, I'm the partner, in front of the teacher.
No.
And of course we would never say it with that tone of voice or whatever, be kind. And, but I always zip my lip during the lesson.
Yeah, you pretty much have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have to. It's a requirement.
At BYU, yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
For their lessons, and at UVU as well. They're required to have a pianist at every lesson.
Really? Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
it's good. It's consistent. Sometimes I think
So
instrumental.
then, in this case, you would just have to assert yourself musically and not say anything. And just by the way you play, they know that you're not.
Yeah, papa.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to assert yourself musically if you see that it's called for. There are lots of pianists who just think this is the way you play if you're the accompanist.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not.
Some of the best inspiration I've had to be more assertive musically is when I hear a recording of a professional perform this particular piece, and I realize, oh, the pianist took some really artistic liberties and choices. Wow, I didn't realize that that's
Do
probably
it.
what it calls for.
Do it.
So I think that does embolden you, and then it gives the teacher something in the lesson to bite onto and either use to say, look, see how they're doing this? You need to do it. Sometimes they don't know how much the pianist is capable of unless you do assert yourself.
Well, a lot of voice teachers are like this.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Voice teachers?
I mean, voice teachers.
I don't know.
Voice teachers, they have, their job is to build the voice. Their job is not to be a coach, although it's very nice if they can go into that area. But they don't pay that much attention to the pianist either. So you need to,
Sometimes they do.
yeah, sometimes
Like
they
the
do.
one teacher I really liked working with at UVU was Connie Jensen, and then she's gone up to Utah State. But she was always talking about, did you hear how the pianist was doing this?
That is unusual.
It is unusual, and it was very refreshing.
Absolutely. But anyway, you do it. whether they notice it or not.
Right.
And, if, you can't really do it in a lesson. But you would have, if you're preparing for a recital or something, you work one-on-one with the singer, then is when you can be the more aggressive one. Because a lot of singers just, young singers, they don't know what they're doing.
Now, of course, we're talking about student.
We're talking about,
Student
say,
singers.
undergraduates.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about,
Yeah.
we're not talking about professionals.
Professionals or
I mean, if it's a
graduates.
real professional, they don't need to hear any of it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something that are you singers? Are you, any of you singers?
Like choral, not.
Not solo
Not-
Well, I
singers.
like to sing, but I'm not well trained.
Okay, it wasn't until I really started doing a lot of singing that I began to appreciate the value of a great pianist. Because I had been the pianist all the time. And I couldn't, it was stunning how much difference there was between a good pianist and a mediocre one. I mean, you can't do anything as a singer if the pianist is, if they don't get the music and get the feeling and get into it like this. And then you get somebody who really could play. Oh, this is great. So that's the pianist you want to be. And, they will appreciate it. They will appreciate it. So anyway, be a musician. Look at that score and this is what it requires of me. And if the singer's not up to it,
Too bad.
well, don't you think? I mean, you can't be mediocre just because they are. Well, how do you feel about playing for mediocre singers or bassoon players?
It kind of brings us down a little bit.
It,
Because we have to go slower or whatever.
well, if you get to a certain point in your professional life as a pianist, accompanist, you can choose who you play for. And you'll just finally say, no, I'm not going to play for that person. It's not fun. It's not invigorating. Have you ever done that?
No.
Because you know they can't do it.
I did with one student at
Did you?
SUU because I'll tell you what happened. So this young girl wanted to use a fellow student to play for her. And then they were going to bring me in at the last minute to get ready for her jury. So I came to 2 lessons before juries. But the one lesson, which was the 3 days before juries, they're throwing this new piece at me and wanting to do cuts and all this stuff. And I'm using my iPad. And I just and she had already worked with this fellow student. So I just said, just have your fellow student play for you and I'll pay him. That's what I did. Because I was so frustrated. This is a lesson 3 days before juries and here's new music.
You don't have to do it. So
That's the only one I did that with.
that's what I would. And in fact, that even goes for church playing. I mean, I'll just say, I can't play that piece. And you know the kind of music we hear in church sometimes. It's so awful. And I just say, I can't play that kind of music. It makes you look bad. And you don't need that. The pianist is the one with all the hard work. The pianist is what does the hard stuff. Even with the choir, the pianist is the one with the hard thing to do.
Amen, sister.
Well, that's right.
But a lot of times I feel like we're so underappreciated. But
No, you're
anyway,
ignored. You're
right.
ignored completely. And you're doing something 10 times harder than the singers or the conductor.
So that's what I'm just going to say about at SUU, the choir director, he appreciates the piano so much. I've never played for a choir where, let's hear it for Diane.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so refreshing.
That's right. Well, it's obviously the hardest thing. Okay, let's see. So things that what are some of the things that you think about when you're preparing a piece? Say,
So are we talking opera? Or are we talking art song? Because I would approach it differently. Opera really scares me to death. It does. Because it has such, well, I don't know, maybe our song does too, but this is the way that it's always done, right? And I don't know that way. I'm a good sight reader and I can read what's on the page. I played for an institute, a summer institute for young dramatic voices.
oh, the Dolores.
Dolores Zajic, and I mean, it was a fantastic experience, but I was like thrown to the wolves because I didn't really know the literature, and I would be playing what was on the page, and then all of a sudden the singers stop on the high note and take as much time as they want
Yeah.
until I figured out, well, that's the way that it's normally done. So, I had just had to learn.
You do have to know the tradition.
You do have to know the tradition, and I probably should have listened to more recordings. I mean, I had to play Monica's Waltz. Have you played?
Oh, yeah, that's a great piece.
Yeah, it's a great
Right.
piece for a teenage girl who can't count.
Right, there you go. So you are responsible.
Who's the composer?
And part of
Barber?
your,
Is it Barber? No.
No,
It's the one who wrote the I'm All in the Night.
Oh,
Menotti?
yes,
No,
Menotti.
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 Yeah.
John Cutler. Well, one of the things that is your job is to make the singer or flute player look good, right?
Yeah. And that's what I like, is to help them
That's your job.
look better
And
and,
you can
sound
you
better.
can destroy the whole thing
Yeah.
in a second. If it's
Been
somebody-
tempted to do that
if
many
it's
times.
somebody that you think deserves it, you can play too loud. Thomas Beecham, is it Thomas Beecham, the famous British conductor? If there was a soprano he didn't like, he just played the organ. And that's how you feel if they're not prepared or if they,
That's like Jane did this funny skit. What, Revenge?
The Revenge of the
The
Accompanist.
Revenge of the Accompanist is really funny. You can tell it if you want.
I did it with a violinist, and we took very standard violin repertoire, and I did everything wrong. I put the lid up. I put a bust of Mozart on the piano. I had my music that was 25 pages long, taped together, which I never do anymore. Right? And totally made the violinists look bad until at the end, when I knew they couldn't reach the high note on their piece, I played it instead of them, and they finished with the flourish. Like, yeah, I did that.
It was so funny.
I developed do you remember Barbara Williams?
oh yeah.
We gave her a retirement concert.
Oh.
And Cynthia Richards and Cynthia plays the violin, actually premiered that work, The Revenge of the Accompanist.
That's,
And I've done it a couple times since then.
Barbara Williams, she was a wonderful teacher.
She was a wonderful teacher. I learned so much from her. And she took violin.
Okay.
She was John's teacher for a while.
Yeah, maybe that's where I ran into John, because I played a lot for Barbara. And you know what I find that is so rewarding about collaborative work is that I feel like I'm still learning a lot. I get to go to lessons. I don't have to pay for those lessons. And I do learn a lot from the teachers. I do learn a lot that I want to incorporate in my music. And then I also learn a lot that I want to leave way behind and not even go there.
That's right, you do.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how you, I don't know, this is a good question, approach coaching with one-on-one with a singer?
Sure. Do you have coaching moments?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So here's where you need the background, you need the tradition, you need the style, you need the languages. And well, a real coaching session should start with the singer. Let's just say singer already knows the piece. You're not there to teach them the notes.
Right.
And I do a lot of that. They
Mhm.
don't know the notes. This is not what I'm here for.
Mhm.
I mean, anybody can teach them the notes, but you are there to teach them the music.
Mhm.
So the specific things that I spend the most time on are phrasing, sometimes languages if they don't know those at all, and the understanding of the structure of the music and how you sell it. Phrasing, I think, is probably the most important thing, and I talk about that all the time. Where is the music going?
Mhm.
And of course, you talk about. Here's what I talk about. This is
You
my
have a
little
book?
book.
She
But
wrote a
this is-
book.
This is for singers.
Mhm. See,
Sing.
I had a professor that I worked for, a vocal professor. He was a baritone, and he had a really nice way of saying it. And I use it with my piano students. He said, "Where is the heart of the phrase?" He said, "My music is either going to it or away from it.
Exactly.
That's it. It's either toward that heart or coming back
Mhm.
from it." And
That's it.
so-
Where is the note?
yeah,
Where is the note? And it's amazing how, at least with singers, but others too, I've never thought about that.
Mhm.
They just sing the little black spots on the page in a row. And music should never sound like this. It's always breathing. It's always breathing and growing. And you have to draw your listener in by the way you sing each phrase. You have to understand the structure of the piece, the section. Where is the high point of the whole idea? And are you showing your listener where that is? Like in a novel or
A movie. Or a movie,
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
climax of a movie.
Yeah, you have to have a climactic moment.
So you're, as a coach, of a vocal coach, you're starting with that as your first mission is let's coach the musical aspect and worry.
That's it.
Do you sometimes have to work? I would feel not competent to talk about diction and language because I haven't studied them enough. Although I've learned a lot from many lessons, but you think that that's the main thing that you could help with. In that
Well, I don't know. I
situation.
mean, you have to have the languages to help them. And you need to know something about singing. I keep talking about singing. I mean, if you can see that the person isn't breathing,
Mhm.
you tell them to breathe. They're just some really fundamental
Or
stuff.
breathing in the wrong spot.
Mhm.
That's part of the phrasing. There are all those chapters in there that tell you about breathing, about preparation, and
Pauses,
what's in there? What do you do about the pauses?
rest, structure, what you said, diction, which I don't feel qualified except for French. I
Well,
took French. Yeah,
It's okay, you've got French.
and maybe a little Italian. I keep my ears open all the time to the teacher as they correct them in their
Mhm.
lesson. And then if we are in a situation where it's just me and the singer and they do the wrong,
You can tell.
I can back
Well,
up
there are a
the teacher.
few rules, especially Italian.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't speak Italian, but I know the rules.
Right.
And I can tell if they
What
don't
the vowels
do the
are.
double consonants.
yes.
And if they sing addio, you don't say addio.
It's
Addio.
D's.
Mhm.
I mean, you've heard that once. That's all you need. So yeah.
When did you write this?
Isn't there a date in there?
2012.
It was when Larry was
Still
teaching he
Vincent.
used that text some in his opera workshop classes.
And is it used anymore? This is
I
really
don't think
A nice
anybody's
resource.
using it now. I since he's gone. Although Shay has a coffee, I don't know. Anyway. But those are the things that
Shay Owens.
I
He's doing opera now.
Mhm. Those are the things that I emphasize. All those about 8 things in there.
Yeah, that's good for the
And
pianist to know.
so try to make music out of every line. Every single phrase, every single line is the most important one in the world. You know, are you making music out of this? Do you know what you're talking about? So many times singers will come, they sing, what is this song about? Oh, I don't know.
Guy walking at moon in the middle of the night. Yeah, down by the lake or whatever.
Yeah, so I didn't answer your question very well.
No, I think you did.
Well, not too well. But I would say if there's one thing I talk about the most, it's phrasing. And that includes, and then you have to talk about, as I say, if you see that they are not breathing and they keep running out of air, I mean, you can help them. I mean, you are helping them. Are you going to breathe here or here or here or here? You know, that's easy. You can figure that out easily. They don't sometimes. Or if they don't open their mouth, they're trying to sing like this.
Mhm.
It happens all the time.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, you've seen enough great singers, and you know enough to know that you don't sing like this. You know, you have to open your mouth, and if you see that their tongue is stuck up in the top, in the back, get your tongue down. I mean, things that you learn from teachers.
Yeah.
In the studios. And that's a crapshoot too, as you well know, right?
Yeah.
All the teachers that you heard, they're so different, and sometimes you want to roll your eyes. But you glean all this information so that you can.
How about tempo? Do you find that teachers often, they really switch up the tempo? It's too slow or,
Well,
I mean, that seems to happen, but you have to go with what the teacher wants. Unless you can make a good case for a different tempo.
and see, when they begin to respect you, then they might start asking you.
Yeah.
Because if you have the knowledge, the background, the tradition, you can say, well, so-and-so does it this way, and so-and-so does it this way. And this is my experience with this song, that it goes at this tempo.
Right. And yeah, that
And-
happens pretty
Yeah.
regularly.
It's a subtle thing, the way you gain the respect.
And trust.
of
Yeah.
teachers. Because the students will, but sometimes the teachers don't.
Okay, well, you were telling us about when the student comes prepared and knows their music.
Oh,
But when they show up for a coaching session and they don't know the music, it happens all the
all
time.
the time.
And it's okay. I don't mind helping them figure out
Once.
a dotted quarter note.
One
you know.
time.
Once.
But the next time they better be better prepared. Yeah. I know, I do it all the time, Jane.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just a part of the gig
Well, it is at the undergraduate level.
at the undergraduate
I
level.
mean, we're doing Cosa fan tutte, as you may know now, which is the most sublime music ever written on this earth. It's so absolutely gorgeous. And we have people who, they happen to be the better singers. They're also better prepared. They're also on the ball. And if they make a mistake, they fix it right now. And then there are the others who aren't the better singers and who haven't practiced and haven't. I had one the other day. Oh, dear.
Do tell.
And here we are, all these singers, this whole room full of 30 people, and he doesn't know what's happening. And so I say, well, have you practiced? Well, I looked at it once. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's when I start losing patience. And I was pretty good this week. I didn't scream at anyone.
When you're in an opera rehearsal, are you playing the chorus parts? Are you playing? I mean,
Well, this week, what I did, I took all the rehearsals this week by myself. I did because Shay's up in Salt Lake.
yeah, he's in
He's singing
Little Prince.
So he's not even been there
Oh,
this
wow.
week. So I like to play and direct at the same time.
You do.
I mean, he asked me if I wanted a pianist, and I said, no, I'll do it. It's a little bit more efficient, I think,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
because you don't know if the pianists, you're going to have to tell them
Where
what
you
the-
are.
yeah, and all that stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I can do that. So that was fun. So yes, and the chorus came in yesterday. So for the first time,
And had they been practicing elsewhere?
they had never even seen the music until yesterday.
Oh, what happened?
It was great. It's really easy, and there's
Oh.
a small chorus part
Oh.
in Così fan
Hmm.
tutte. And it was fine. So I had the chorus, and we went through it. Now they sound very very good. It'll be fun. But they should have had the music before, so they could have at least been acquainted with the language. But it'll be fine.
Mhm.
But it's in the studio. This is a different kind of thing. I mean, you can't scream and yell when you're got the whole cast there.
No.
And I try to be really nice to these students because I love them so much. But if someone comes in totally unprepared more than once, I start to get really annoyed.
Mhm.
And what do you do? Do you just tell
I
them?
say, what do I do? I say, you've had this for a week. Well, my grandma died. And, I had to do this.
Blame it on grandma.
Blame it on
I
grandma.
mean, they've always got 1,000 reasons, but you have to put in the time. I think the very inexperienced young singer has no idea what it means to prepare a role or a recital. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but I think we can help them learn how to do that. Or,
Well, after
still-
they've gone through it once,
Yeah.
they begin to get it,
Mhm.
but they don't realize what kind of time it takes and what you have to do to put it. So I just start with playing their notes.
Mhm.
You're playing their notes, and then you start talking about, because that comes first. You have to. And the biggest sin, I do tell the whole group, is bad rhythm. That's the greatest sin of all. Is wrong counting. Singers are the worst.
Yeah.
So
The unforgivable sin.
the unforgivable sin is bad counting or not counting.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And they'll go along, and then they'll see a whole group of 16th notes, and they go,
Mhm.
and so they,
Mhm.
it's just,
Mhm.
and you learn the hard parts first.
Mhm.
You say, here you've got this art song. What are the challenges in this art song? Well, it's this part right here. Learn that part first. Be very careful in your learning. Yeah, you probably emphasize that too. When you're looking at a piece, you don't listen to a recording and try to imitate it.
Mm-mm.
That's not
That's
where you
what they
start.
do. Let's start there.
That's not where you start. You can do that at the end if you want to know how these different singers do it.
Mhm.
But you do it very carefully. You count every single little tiny thing. And some people say that you should learn words first. Some people say that you should. I don't. But that's okay.
Rhythm first.
Some people do the text first. Well, you should know what the song's about.
Mhm.
That would be very nice. And then you start talking about the phrasing, which is the most important note in the phrase. And where is it going? And if you're doing something like a recitative, which is kind of hard for students if they've never done it before, where does it start and where does it end? You have to listen to the harmonic structure.
So they have to play their own chord underneath when they are rehearsing it.
If they can.
Well, at college they should be able to. Yeah. I teach them those
That's
things.
for sure.
It's just a 3-note chord.
Most of
You
them
can
can
play it.
plonk a little bit. And
Well,
you
it's
know,
bass clef. I can't. I'm a soprano.
Yeah. And it's interesting, whenever a singer comes in that I have never heard before, and when we're coming, I say, what instrument do you play? Oh, the cello, the flute. You can always tell if a singer is also an instrumentalist.
Mhm.
You can always tell. Because they can sign, they can read, they can count.
Yeah.
It's the ones who, no, I never, some person who has never had any musical background at all, and they discover in their late teens that they have a nice voice. They still don't have the musical
Right.
underpinnings. And so it's a huge challenge for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why they should all take piano lessons.
they should.
Well, they have
10
to.
years
Before they
sing.
Oh, I see.
10 years.
Right.
Mothers of the world,
Yes.
get your kids in piano.
Yeah, my granddaughters don't even play the piano. Can you imagine?
Mm.
Barbara.
How
Oh,
many
it just
granddaughters
makes
do
me
you have?
Two.
Two? I don't know that.
One's a singer, one's a dancer. Do you think they play the piano? No. I gave them my Steinway. Do you think they play the piano?
Oh no.
But it's the, well, we won't talk about why they didn't. But it's just one of the great sadnesses of my life. Okay.
Okay,
Never mind.
we're with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any more questions or?
Well, I'm curious, what do you put in to learn the opera yourself?
Well,
She knows them all
oh,
already.
I don't. I've always loved opera, and I like to. You just listen. You get the tradition. You get the. It's just, this is usually done if you're talking about Puccini. Puccini is not so easy if you look at it on the page. First of all, it's hard to sight read, isn't it?
Yeah, you gotta edit as you go.
But you also don't know that this is where they always slow down.
That's the hard part, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to know the traditions.
Mm.
So you just have to listen. And that is the bottom line for all accompanists, collaborators. Listen, right? If you don't listen to what your singer is doing, you can't be together with them.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. If just to piggyback off that is eventually the orchestra will be playing the music
Of course.
and hopefully. And so do you take with a grain of salt the printed page
Oh,
with the reduction?
heavens.
You just like, this is
Oh.
all that singer really needs. I don't need to do
Oh,
this.
absolutely.
Okay. Good.
Oh, sure.
Have you
That's my
ever done a complete performance with just you on the piano and the opera
For an
being
opera?
production?
Well, I've done, when we do the scenes,
You play for opera scenes?
I used to.
Oh,
I
okay.
used to play for the scenes. We always just had piano.
Uh-huh. But now
Right.
do the
I've
scenes.
never played for an entire opera.
No, that's.
But occasionally it happens. I mean, they did Rigoletto out of the Sierra, and it was done with piano.
Wow.
Oh, no. I mean, maybe that's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah.
But, it's not an orchestra. This is not an orchestra.
Yeah.
However, I even have this in an orchestra. You are an orchestra sometimes, and you have to make it sound orchestral. So don't be afraid to make it big. Just don't even be afraid to do that. Because that's, try to get in your mind what the orchestra would sound like. And then you sound like an orchestra. But I would not want to play a whole opera.
Yeah, on stage.
But
Live production.
sometimes it happens, in communities where they don't have an orchestra.
Mm.
That's great. And
So at UVU, when they did Deflator Mouse, they had, I was supposed to play the orchestra, that's a long story, but, so they had a piano part that was arranged by Giusti.
oh, really?
Yeah. And so he wrote the piano part.
I guess.
Sometimes, you wouldn't have the piano playing, but it was pretty consistent through the whole opera.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to compromise. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. So you support and you lift and you're orchestral and you do stuff like tone painting. Suppose you're playing, you have to imitate a lot of other things. But have a cell phone.
Yeah,
So what are you?
Gretchen.
You are a
Spinning wheel.
Yeah.
And you are this, or you are the wind, or you are the stream.
Or the
little
horse
stream.
chasing the.
Yeah.
What's
So
going?
So give it as much color and color change as you can. I just looked at listen, I just looked at a couple of these. Here's a Schubert song. What time is it?
It is 5 to 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've
So-
got to be finished in a
Yeah.
I think that's the book. I
Okay,
read.
but here's something. I mean, if you're asked to play, this is Schubert Ondulator. Now, you're gonna play it like that. I mean, this is big stuff. And if you didn't, then the singer wouldn't feel the need for such a dramatic. And if the singer can't handle it, they better find a different song. You know, you can help sometimes with that too, helping them find repertoire that is appropriate for their voice. Because, you know, it's loud. And if they can't do it, then it's not the song for them. And then after you completely change. And you're a totally different instrument now. So that's easy to see, and easy, but don't be a wimp.
Okay.
So,
Don't
so,
you
that,
think?
so that goes with, you know, one time I was playing with a pianist on a concerto, and you have to have a different mindset when you get to the tutti part.
Absolutely.
Let them have it.
Absolutely.
Right?
When are you the soloist, and when are you the leader? Oh, I'm glad I remembered to say that. Sometimes you are the follower, but not always. Sometimes you are the leader, and if the singer doesn't get that, you have to point it out. Look, I have the lead here, and you have to come in and follow me. Otherwise, they might just think that they can do it however they want.
Yeah.
So always know whether you're the leader or the follower. That's just a good little tiny rule.
I love it.
Wisdom.
Great
And don't
advice.
ever be an apologist. Gerald Moore, who you all know, Gerald Moore, has it. In fact, I still have this old LP. He made an LP. It's called The Unashamed Accompanist. Do you know that? Isn't that so funny?
Awesome.
It is so funny. But anyway, you are the heart and soul of whatever it is you're doing. Be not aggressive is not the word I want. Assertive, but your part is so.
So important. I'll just mention something really quickly. So I played for all these 20 instrumentalists, and there was, maybe I shouldn't, well, so there's this flute teacher down there he knows how important the piano part is. But after I played for all these 20 instrumentalists, only 3 of his flute students, he says to me, well, you didn't get in their way, and we weren't listening to you. We're listening to the soloists, and I just thought, and I've spent all semester long learning all this really hard music. It hurt. It kind of hurts your heart. So
They don't get it.
and they don't know what they're saying. But anyway, so I've forgiven them. But that just, it hurts your heart when someone says that. When you work so hard. let it go.
Yeah,
Right?
make sure you don't get in their way.
Because if you, so what happens is if I was getting in somebody's way, that means you're not playing it correctly, or you're not
You're
playing
playing
the
too
right
loud.
tempo, or you're too loud, or whatever. So if you play it perfectly, you're not in their way. Anyway,
Well, maybe he was trying to compliment you in
I
a
don't know, but
strange way.
it didn't come across as a compliment. He's a nice guy,
Anyway,
but he's
you are
different.
important, and don't be afraid to let people know that.
We are just so happy to have met you. You're delightful and has so much experience. If we ever like get in a situation that, like, well, Barbara, what should I do? We're gonna call you.
Yeah, you're welcome to call me.
Yeah, you're gonna help us. Okay. That's it.
Thank
Okay,
you so
well,
much.
See you the second Friday of March. I have some ideas of who will be coming to speak to us in March, if that happens. Be safe and play well, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.